All right, welcome to the city council work session. It's 4 p.m. Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, and I apologize to say that you're stuck with the backup quarterback tonight. And that is not an April Fool's joke. Nick's not gonna come busting in, I don't think, and otherwise that'd be an April Fool's joke on me, maybe. The first presentation tonight is an annual presentation from the Y, and Seth, it says you have this one.
Good evening. We have our annual presentation from the YMCA, and I have a few members of the YMCA and also members of our team, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Bob Carlson. I'm the president and CEO of the YMCA. You need my address?
No, not necessarily.
We used to have to do that.
I'm Dale Emerson. I'm the branch executive director over at the Marion YMCA.
I am Caitlin Studer, CR Metro Youth and Adult Sports Director.
And I'm Allie Waterman. I am a recreation coordinator.
Okay, I think I take over right here. Thanks for having us here today to talk about the Y. It's been a wild ride. It's a great place. First of all, I'd like to say that you are a part of an association that is one of the fastest growing and most successful YMCAs in this state, let alone the country. Okay, so we can all be very proud of that, and you're all part of that because of the contribution that you made and because of the relationships we put together with the rec department here and all of that. So you can see all of these. I don't know how much you want me to elaborate on this, but the facility basically is 75,000 square feet. It's got all the amenities that we need to move forward. The only thing we probably lack at some points in time, and you'll probably hear a little bit down the road, is gym space. But that's something that you just can't get enough of these days, okay, with all the programs that are going on. So the facility, I don't think you want me to read all these to you, but that's pretty much a full facility YMCA that is, tremendous for what we have in this community. And I think that's all on that one.
Yeah, that's all that one. So I think Dale will take over the kind of by the numbers.
Yep. So just looking at some of the numbers here, association-wide, over 16,000 members within our association and over 9,400 currently at the Marion YMCA. And then again, we don't need to read everything that's here to you, but just highlighting some of the things. Over 33,000 group fitness attendees, some training, personal training that's offered, summer day camp that we offer. We train lifeguards. Like Bob said, we are a full facility offering, serving the community members that we have. Next one.
And add to that what he said about membership. We've tripled our membership since we moved from the old Marion YMCA that a lot of you remember to this new facility. And we knew it happened, but those are big numbers for a branch of this size.
As they both said, you can see on the screen, we have over 4,000 youth sports participants in 2024. We work jointly with the city of Marion on youth basketball, 5-on-5 for boys and girls, as well as co-ed flag football. This past fall, we had 50 youth basketball teams. This past winter, we had 66 youth basketball teams. So upwards over 1,200 kids, first through sixth grade, participated in our youth basketball program. We have a youth volleyball program, over 350 kids. That number continues to grow, as well as soccer and the teams that come to the Marion YMCA to play in the basketball tournaments that we host on Sundays. It's a great partnership we have with the city. They do great work. They get us practice space in Marion at Echo Hill and Indian Creek. And we host all of the games at the Marion Y as well as HGN downtown Cedar Rapids. We also have adult sports, over 1,100 adult volleyball participants and 186 teams. That's a fall session that runs 10 weeks as well as a winter session that runs 10 weeks. 610 adult basketball participants. We have basketball on Sundays and Wednesday, Thursday at Marion and Tuesdays downtown at HGN. So those numbers continue to grow as well. But as Bob touched on, gym space is far and few between, and we can always use more of it to help those numbers grow as well.
So this highlights many of the programs that we run both jointly between the rec department and the YMCA. And then there's also some of these programs that we use the YMCA's gym space for. And then there's other events that we partner on, like City Showcase and Healthy Kids Day. We are once again going to be doing that this year. That's on April 26th. And then there's the longstanding wellness agreement that we do programs like Sunrise Yoga at that as well. So this partnership matters for the rec department because we're all one team. We want to utilize each other and each other's resources. Because we want to provide the highest level of recreation opportunities for the city, so.
So on Thursday, we do have an amendment to our current existing MOU agreement, and this is something that Bob will speak more about on kind of the what we saw when the facility opened, how active and busy it was, and really not knowing all the excitement that was going to come with it. And so we do have some amended items that we'll see in there. Really what we looked at was for the gas passes exchange for that, extending the 10% discount to an additional 5 years since its opening. A track pass that's very similar to the pickleball pass that's going to be fees determined by the Y, and then a community family day that would be once a month, and that's something that we'll collaborate jointly with the Y, likely to be on a Sunday, but that's be more information to come in those details. And I'll let Bob kind of talk about some of the changes that we saw when it first opened.
Yeah, we're living in a very different world than we were pre-pandemic. And with the opening of the building and the success of it, we have seen just with our membership base going through the roof, okay, just so to speak. Our parking is very stressed at the building. It's the biggest parking lot I ever built in my life. But you come in sometimes at 8:45 in the morning and you can't find a parking place. So those of you who have been there have seen it, especially on the weekends. It's very stressed with basketball and all of that. So we made the decision metro-wide to not continue selling guest passes to the general public. We're a membership organization. That's how we exist. That's how we pay our bills. And it's really very easy to get a membership to the Y because no one's turned away based on inability to be able to pay membership fees. You can get a scholarship. We scholarshiped about $1 million worth of folks last year in all of our branches. And so we decided that we were not going to, as an organization, sell guest passes, okay, anymore. If you have someone that's coming into town and you need someone to be able to go to the Y, you can contact one of our branch execs and we will facilitate a guest pass for you to bring them in. Okay, so it's not locked off totally, but just everybody that comes in off the street, general public, we just can't do that anymore. It's just stressing we haven't done it, but it'll stress us to the nth if we try to do that. And then the 10% discount, we decided to move that back, so that's worked out well for us. The track pass will be just very similar, as you said, to the pickleball pass. It'll be $5. You can come in as a Marion resident. You can pay a $5 fee because the track was a big talking point as we went through this whole thing. And then we thought about doing a community family day where you can come in. We haven't put fees to this yet. We're just kind of testing it out with you all. And it's designated for Marion residents that Sunday that we pick the time for folks to come in and be able to use the facility if you're not a member. Yep. Did I get all that?
Yeah, and I will say from a process standpoint, we've been having a lot of discussions with the white team. We did vet this through subcommittee, and so you'll see on Thursday an amendment for this agreement. And lastly, wanted just to run through our future opportunities. You know, we talked about the stress of parking. We do want to look at parking opportunities following this. We are discussing summer kids camp locations. That's a big need in the community. You know, it's something that the Y books very, very fast. And so looking at those locations, some of the city facilities on expanding those opportunities, wellness program with the new Central Plaza, Sunrise Yoga. They did some stuff over in the North Plaza. Be excellent to be able to expand those opportunities. Additional athletic partnerships. We have the Future Aquatic Center, and then we are looking at adaptive programming, and that is something that they're kicking off June 2nd through the 25th to feature some different sports and activities, but being adaptive, so and equitable for all skills, or to be able to utilize, to be able to participate in those types of programs. And with that, we'll entertain some questions.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Steve?
I'll just add a comment. I mean, obviously the facility is now 4 years old. And I'm out there at least 2 or 3 times a week. So I've seen how crowded it gets and how packed that parking lot is. So I understand looking at some of those areas. But if you look back when that facility was being built, the original design was for only 2 gyms. And for additional money to come in from the city said, no, it needs to be 3. So kudos to everybody involved in that decision 5 years ago before it was built to expand that. Obviously, there's still a shortage, but look what would have happened if we had not had that 3rd one kind of forced upon the situation. And obviously, it looks like the finances and everything have turned out just fine. So glad to see that.
Grant?
Yeah, it's been
Oh, sorry.
the partnership with the city. I mean, I don't think I've ever done anything in my life that hasn't been a partnership of some sort, because that's how you do it, okay, in this world. But this partnership with the city, it's evolved. We didn't know how it was going to be exactly. We just kind of got into it and started working, and the city was being really supportive and great, and we think we were too. And it just kind of evolved into this relationship. And it's one for the books, as far as I'm concerned, in the state of Iowa. So we're appreciative of that.
Great.
Yeah. Bob, I just wanted to share a comment with you and your team. This afternoon, one of our neighboring communities, mayors gave me a call on a completely different issue. But what he concluded that statement or our conversation with was about kind of the regionalism approach that we take to things and how vital that is to their community because they're significantly smaller than us. And I'll break the secrecy. I was talking with Mayor Hintz from the city of Robbins. You know, I think the efforts that you all have made really exemplify the character of what Team Marion's all about. So I just want to say thanks.
Okay, I appreciate that very much because we feel that same way. Okay, it's been a great partnership. We're going to be set up in the Y, this Y system, Cedar Rapids Metro Y system with a kind of a northeast branch, which is Marion. We've got a central branch downtown. And then, as you probably all know, we're going to be operating the Prairie Summit YMCA for college community. So we're set up in really good regions, as you say, Grant, to service all of those people, and being able to get there will be a strength I think we have.
Then I just have a comment and a question. I would echo what my colleagues have said, and it's an impressive facility. It's an obviously busy facility. I also recognize that currently you guys carry most of the weight on the pickleball demand that we have. Hopefully we can get some more facilities in the future. But my question, I was really impressed by the youth recreation numbers. Is there a way that you guys are able to measure, and I understand not all the kids will necessarily be of school age yet. You might have some younger kids, but are you able to measure kind of by school district who's involved? If I'm wondering like what the Linmar versus Marion Independent representation is, if you have that.
Yeah, we can pull it. It's something we can, when you register for a youth basketball or youth volleyball, we have a question on your registration form that asks what school you go to.
Okay.
And so we could always sort it that way. Right now, like when we put teams together, we put them just together based on Marion, or Cedar Rapids. But we can get more detailed and pull, each school district that kids go to or school.
Sure, yeah, I was just curious if you guys were seeing overwhelmingly Linmar numbers just based off where the Y sits in town, or if it's pretty equal based off the population of the student base.
I would say it's pretty even. We have a lot of Echo Hill, Indian Creek participants, but we do have a lot of like the Catholic school, St. Pius, St. Joe's, as well as the independent, the homeschool kids. So we kind of have a good mix of kids from all the schools in the area.
Cool, well, thank you for that.
Mm.
Does anyone else have anything? Otherwise, thank you again for taking the time and being here, Ryan.
Do you want to
No,
go first?
no, you go.
Sure?
No, you go.
Okay,
Ryan, you go.
thank you, Bob.
I was just gonna conclude, so.
Okay, well, before you do, one thing that Bob mentioned was the topic of parking. So as we've been working on the amendment to the 2080, one of the things that we said is we're gonna get past that, and then we're gonna really dive into the topic of parking and try to work together on coming up with some solutions to help manage that. And it's a good problem to have that it is as popular as it is, and it's a wonderful community center. So, and certainly we've had a number of conversations, but we do appreciate the partnership, and there's a reason why both, really all of Team Marion's up there right now with the Y and city staff. So,
And I wasn't gonna get too detailed into the parking stuff tonight, but Ryan knows that I've kind of wanted to try to mix this into the fold because it's a challenge. It's a big challenge for us. And part of the reason for the guest pass deal. I mean, there's so many members and all these people are paying a membership fee. And that's why we're successful here, because that's what pays the bills and makes it work. And we want to be successful. The city wants to be successful. So it's just a tremendous partnership. We appreciate all the support we get from the city, from all y'all. And thanks for having us here.
Thanks for being here. All right, next we have an annual presentation from Trees Forever, and Mike.
Good evening, council members. I'm excited to be here this evening to introduce a longtime partner. I'd like to acknowledge Bob's comments on partnership because we do find a tremendous amount of success in those collaborations, and so is well spoken, and we're going to align with that with our annual presentation here with a longtime partner. We have Molly Stolke here from Trees Forever, and she's going to talk about some of the things that we accomplished last year in 2024, as well as some of the plans we have for this spring and future plans going on into the remainder of the season this year. As you all know, we adopted the Urban Reforestation Plan last September. And so one of the items that you'll see most commonly out in the right-of-way and public spaces is that there's an increase in tree plantings. But one of the components of that plan that we're really focusing on moving into these coming seasons is strengthening partnerships that we have existing and also reaching out and finding new ones. So Molly will provide some more detail on how we're going to do that with Trees Forever this year.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you guys so much for having me here. I'll just address the elephant in the room. Yes, I'm related to Hannah Stolke. She's a cousin. And thanks to her, everyone can pronounce her name right. So Stolke. But once again, thanks for having me. Trees Forever was founded right here in Marion in 1989. We're now able to say that we have staff throughout Iowa, Illinois, and Wisconsin. So we're very excited about that. We are a nonprofit, so we're a charitable 501c3, and we've grown to about 30 staff. That doesn't include our AmeriCorps or our seasonal help of the Growing Futures teams. We have planted a little over 3 million trees since our conception, and we are very proud to say that we engage with thousands of volunteers annually. What's that mean for the city of Marion? Reflecting on our partnership, I dug up as much dirt as I could find on everything we've been doing, and that dates back to 1991. So in the last 34 years, we've done nearly 100 projects together, and that equates to over $330,000 in grants and $377,000 in local match projects. That's equated into 6,230 trees and 75 seedlings. But when I say we've planted those, it's not just our team at Trees Forever and the wonderful staff at Marion. Like I said, we like to engage with volunteers while we're out doing this. Over the last 34 years, we've engaged with over 2,600 volunteers just here in Marion. And they've spent 11,623 hours putting in the work right here. And as we know, time equals money. So that has equated to $135,429 worth of effort right here in the community. But more recently, what have we done in 2024 and are working towards in 2025? So in 2024, we brought the program Growing Futures right here to Marion to plant trees in the right-of-way with the Marion team. And that's Growing Futures is where we hire 14 to 18-year-olds and we teach them how to properly plant and care for trees. We give them professional development training and they like to eat, so we feed them a lot. So in 24, we hired 14 youth to plant those trees. We planted 200 trees and we did professional development such as vehicle maintenance, financial information, and we even took them to an orchard and gave them a behind the scenes tour. With those 200 trees, we also held 2 volunteer planting dates. We had 45 volunteers join us. They put in 192 hours within those 2 days, and that equated to $5,544. In this picture, I just want to point out that that is the Kirkwood International students that came, and they hadn't had the chance to be in Marion yet, so they came and planted with us here in Marion, and then got to go explore the community a little bit. So that was really fun for us. In 2024 and already in 2025, we've assisted Marion with the Loud Park pruning project and the folks at Foxwood project. It sounds like we do that annually, and we've already completed that in March this year. And then we had a team reach out to us and said they really wanted to work with us, but they really wanted to plant in Marion this year. So I reached out to Mike and asked how we could make that happen. So on May 22nd, we're going to be bringing that team in and doing some work to help plant more trees in the community. That's just a glimpse of what we did in 2024 and what we have set for 2025. And I'm sure we'll not end there. And I'm very much looking forward to what the next 34 years will bring for us. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions or comments? The only question I have with the the right-of-way like tree planting process, I don't know who can answer this one, maybe both of you. Once they're planted, like what is the responsibility for the trees? Like tree owners going forward, I mean, they're in the right-of-way, but I'm sure that some of the maintenance is maybe done by the property owner, or maybe it's done by Trees Forever or there's an assistant. How does that kind of work?
Yeah, so Trees Forever, Growing Futures team, we take care of it for a year. We go out and water it once a week. We're actually going to kick that off this week, but the temperatures are still pretty low in the evening yet. And then we also warranty those trees for a year. So if we find that any don't make it, we'll get those replaced. We actually had a lot of great luck talking to community members while we were out planning, answering questions, and they asked how they could get involved. So I think there's a really great future for community involvement in all the right-of-way plantings here. So I'm excited for all the work you guys have coming down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for your guys' continued work, especially after the derecho and the importance of every tree matters so much more in Marion now than it did before. And getting that canopy back up to a percentage for future generations to enjoy. You have a question? Go ahead.
I don't have a question, just a comment. Thank you for also being in Marion, being the headquarters here in Marion. It's a very proud thing when you're known so nationally and what's been built here, and to have your right on the trail there and your new space out, patio space and everything you've got there. But thanks for keeping everything in Marion. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Next up, we have our annual presentation from our friends at the Marion Chamber of Commerce. Jill?
Good afternoon. Hi, council. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to come and present today. I want to start out by introducing my board chair, Cassandra Kochek, is with us. She is the Vice President of Marketing with Farmer State Bank. So she's our leader this year. Also want to start out by just thanking the council and the staff for for your contributions to the Marion Chamber of Commerce. You guys are one of our largest partners, and we couldn't do what we do without your help and without the collaboration of city staff. We just really enjoy working with them, and it makes our work that much more meaningful. So I'm going to start with a 2024 recap, and I also should say I caught a couple of typos in here, so I'm apologizing for those in advance. But here's the recap for 2024. We added 32 new members. You'll see them all listed here. We also hired 3 new staff members. So we added Tammy Peck, who is a part-time membership specialist. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes here. Lacey Schroeder, you've all met Lacey. She's our new Main Street director, has been a great hire for us. And then we also added another part-time admin with Diane Toy. We completed 55 professional development and networking events throughout 2024. Those look like Wake Up Marion events that many of you have attended, the BizMix events, our professional development events like Marion Business Academy, 55 in all. Some of those are Marion only events, and some of those are more regional events that we partner with the Economic Alliance on. We did 36 ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings. We're going to try to break that record in 2025. 10 free community events. Those are the events, the free community events like the farmers market, the music in the park in August, Christmas in the park and peppermint walk, chocolate walk. All in all, bring over 20,000 visitors to Uptown Marion every year. I'm going to move on now to kind of our mission and our strategic focus. So as you all know, I stand up here every year, talk about our mission, which is to be a leading advocate for the business community, creating an attractive environment where business will flourish and residents achieve the highest quality of life. And we do that really through these 4 bullet points. Obviously, membership is the first one. We are a membership organization, so they're sort of at the top of the food chain. We kind of get our marching orders from our members. Community and development and tourism is one of my personal favorite things to work on. Get a lot of personal satisfaction out of all of the community projects that we're able to partner with the city of Marion on. Leadership and business development, obviously that's where a lot of the services that we provide to the small business community specifically falls under that bullet point. And then advocacy and communication. So now we'll do a deeper dive into each of those things. I did provide, I think, a link to each of you that as a link to this document. This is kind of our main goals and tactics for 2025. But we'll kind of go through those now. So under membership, we had a goal at the beginning of the year to get to 350 members. We've kind of been hanging out in that 300 range for a while. And we set a pretty lofty goal with adding on our new retention and recruitment specialist with Tammy to get to 350 in 2025. And she is knocking it out of the park. This number's already out of date. I think I sent this back over to Rachel on Friday, and Tammy told me today that we're now at 348. So she is really doing a great job. We've had a 254% increase in new members from September through March of this year. When you compare September through March of last year, a 254% increase, we're really proud of that. Also in 2025, we're going to work on executing a new event. We're planning for it right now. It's a business expo. So a couple months ago, right before Christmas, we did a survey because we've gotten a lot of requests from members. Where can I set up a tent or a table to talk to people about my business? Often they want to come to our farmers market. That's not really the right venue to have them. And so we said, what about a business expo? So we did a survey to see who would be interested. 70% said yes, they would be interested. About 20% said maybe. We had just a couple that said, no, I wouldn't be interested in that for whatever reason. So, around 90-ish% want an activity like this to take place. So that's something that we're working on planning right now. And we're going to officially roll it out at our annual meeting in October. Another one of our goals for membership is to achieve a 94% member retention rate. Last year, we fell at 89.8, which was a drop from 2023. 2023, we were 92.1%. And in 2022, we were at 90.5%. So we anticipate being able to reach that 94% retention rate in 2025. Hopefully, we'll exceed that with our new, membership specialist. Some of the things that we're doing to really enhance or improve our retention. Number one, we started some new quarterly new member mixers. So we invite all the new members that have joined in the last 12 months to come to a happy hour. And we've had one so far, and I think we had about 12 or 13 new members. We have another one coming up next Tuesday. So I think those are going to be successful. It's just another way that we can interact with new members. The majority of our attrition for membership comes within a member's first 2 years. Usually if we can get them to the 3rd year, they're going to stay a member long-term. Another thing that we're doing is speed networking events. And I think a lot of times people think these types of networking events are for people that love to network. That's not the case. They're really ideal for people that don't like to network. Maybe they think it's awkward or they don't know how to act in a larger group of people. This allows you to meet 15 to 20 new people in about an hour. You get 1.5 to 2 minutes with each person and then you switch. So once you get your own elevator speech down, it becomes pretty easy. So those have been super popular. We've maxed out on our attendance on those. And then another activity that I've been really happy with is our board member outreach. We're just quarterly assigning board members to go out and reach out to our members and get feedback. And we've gotten some really great advice just listening to our members. And it's a great way for our board members to get FaceTime with our membership as well. Under community development and tourism, we have upgraded our welcome center. I'll show you some pictures. There's one there right now. We worked with Linmar, actually. The Roar Store students helped us design our new welcome center. We bought new fixturing. We've added a whole several new lines of merchandise. And we've created a monthly marketing plan and added Saturday hours, regular Saturday hours from 10 to 2 every Saturday of being open. And so we're hoping to get to at least 20,000 in sales this year. I think we will be able to surpass that. Our board really thought that it was important as the level of businesses that we're starting to see in Uptown are really ratcheting up. They're businesses with very solid business plans. You've seen them, the Eat Shop, Refined Living, which was formerly Stage Dwellings. Just the level of business has really elevated. And so we know that we needed to do something to provide that, a similar type of experience when they come to the Welcome Center. So we did the redesign. And since then, if you look at the same period, I looked from January to March of 2024, and then I looked at January to March of 2025, we've seen a 225% increase in sales just in that period. So I think it's working. In addition to that, we're planning the 2026 Marion brochure. This is something that we've talked about for quite some time, and it's just never gotten off the ground. But we're working on hiring a professional photographer right now to get seasonal photographs. It's perfect time to get some really awesome photographs with the new plaza opening. They'll do some in the summertime, also some in the fall and in the winter, so that we'll be able to capture all the seasons in the new brochure. We're also restructuring our tourism committee. So adding new members to that committee, setting specific goals for them. One of those goals includes developing a community champion program. So arming the high traffic businesses and more so their frontline employees with important information about our communities. So as they're working with customers, they can share when the plaza is opening or what's happening on Tower Terrace Road. Just important key information tidbits that we want residents and visitors to have. We are also going to create some full color glossy coupon sheets that we're going to hand out at farmers market events and uptown get down events this year that will drive additional traffic into the businesses. Under leadership and business development, our main goal here is just to increase non-dues income. So adding a fifth community, platinum community partner, growing our small business champions program, which was all of our business programming, and then adding more spaces to the welcome packet ad to create more income. We're also gonna work on, lowering our expenses. It's kind of a tough climate to do that in, but something that we're gonna be working on. And then additionally, we want to recruit 5 new businesses to Marion, and we've got a good start on that. We were just talking at our team meeting this afternoon that we've already got kind of 3 that have either already come to Marion or are in the hopper that our team has specifically had a hand in bringing to Marion. In addition to that, we are working with the New BOCO team and also West End on scaling businesses and finding prospects to backfill the spaces at West End, but also working with Nubo on if Nubo or Czech Village isn't the right fit for a particular business, maybe they could come to Marion. And we meet with them on a monthly basis. Communication and advocacy, main goal here is to run a successful advocacy campaign for the Aquatic Center. So we had a kickoff meeting in March, have a great crew of folks that are helping with that. We'll have a multi-tiered campaign. We feel especially tied to this campaign because the Aquatic Center was an Imagine Next initiative. And we just really feel strongly that it's important for Marion's future. It's really important for attracting workforce, and we think that it's going to drive a lot of additional economic development. So that's something that we're going to be focused on. Of course, we'll continue all of our mainstream programming aside from our kind of key high-level goals, our Marion Business Academy events, all of the networking events that we talked about earlier, and all of our free community events as well. And I missed something. Oh, I wanted to invite everybody on April 10th. We are going to have our ribbon cutting for the new Welcome Center. So it'll be kind of an open house. We'll have some treats and some beverages. So hope you can make it. It'll start at 4 p.m. and hope you're able to make it to that event. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions, comments? Go ahead.
My first comment is thank you for all you do. You have a small and mighty team, both your staff and your volunteers, and having come from that world, it's amazing all the things that you manage to get done. And for any of us who have worked in events in our past, we understand how much goes into those days and that make everybody else so happy, but there's a lot of stress that goes with it, and you all make it look pretty easy. So thank you for doing all that you do with Marion. Just to back a few slides question, and understanding the volatility of the memberships, and I do have to keep them in those first couple of years because of that.
Yeah.
Do you know why when you're losing them?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously there's a percentage of that you're never going to stop because they closed, they moved, they're just not in the area anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So to have that kind of retention rate is a pretty good rate considering you don't have a say in all of it. Is that when you do lose somebody, does it tend to be, oh, I just don't have time to be involved, or does it tend to be,
Yeah.
we're just not in business anymore, we merged, or somebody bought my
Good
business?
question. Yes. So it usually is, we don't have time, and we still try to talk to people about that. You know, you're still getting visibility through our website. But yes, it's kind of, we don't have time to take advantage of it. I do think when you compare our retention rates with our peers, our retention rate is good. And I do think that's because we've really worked hard to try to keep membership dues accessible for people. We've tried to keep them low enough where really everybody can afford to play. We offer monthly membership if they pay their dues through ACH. So we really make it accessible for members to be able to join, where, you know, we're not expecting them to pay the full amount when dues go out in September.
So overall, from a chamber, jumping from the membership side of it, what's the biggest component that's missing in the community that hinders you all from doing what you're doing? Is it sponsorship access? Is it facilities? Is it time? Is it people? Is it partnerships that don't exist? Is there any big gaping hole when you do your strategic stuff that is like, if we only had blank, life would be.
Good question,
Next step.
Sarah. I mean, I think non-dues revenue is something that we always have our eye on and are specifically this year trying to grow. You know, sponsorship dollars are just, they're hard to come by. But when, again, they're really critical to our organization because when you're trying to keep dues low, the money's got to come from somewhere. And so those non-dues revenue come into play and that's kind of why we're adding that fifth platinum community partner. We're redoing our small business champions programming so that you don't see as much of the like the category specific, like we are only going to have one bank or we're only going to have one manufacturer. We're kind of opening up some of those doors to let more people play. Where you used to see some of that exclusivity, we're trying to pull back on that a little bit.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Jill, just a question that comes to mind, given what we do with our city council and city related activities. Do you do any benchmarking against comparable communities to then tell you what your performance indicators are and how you're doing relative to those peer communities?
Yeah. There's some good benchmarking reports that we can pull out of like our associations. MACE, Midwest Association of Chamber Executives is the main one that we use. But there's an old adage in the chamber world where if you've seen one chamber, you've seen one chamber. They all have their very specific nuances. Not any one chamber does, you know, exactly the same things. We probably have more of a community development focus than a lot of our peer group does. We're a little bit weaker on the advocacy side, and we're trying to get better at that. Like when I say advocacy at the state and federal level, we're trying to grow that, and we've really leaned on Barb Solberg over at the EA. She's been really helpful. Has been hosting the Policy on the Rocks over at least one a year over in Marion, and has kind of nudged us on when we need to speak up, and if they need specific anecdotal information, she'll ask us to go out and ask the business community specific questions. And yeah, so that's one thing that we're trying to work on.
Sure. This is maybe a historical question, but didn't you fairly recently do sort of a gap analysis for businesses that were interested in bringing to Marion? Is that still a viable tool? Any comments are relative?
Yeah,
to
I'm
that?
gonna point to Lacey on that one. So Main Street does a market study every couple of years. And they just updated it this last fall.
Okay.
Yep.
So one last question, and I've saved the most serious question for last.
Okay.
What do you all do with your free time?
Just hang out and watch Netflix. It's why those big TVs are over there, Grant. No,
Thank you for all
Yes.
your efforts.
thank you.
So first I'll say, yeah, the Marion Chamber has played a very important role on the growth of this city. Secondly, I think you have a very optimal location, much better than what it was in past years. And I think obviously that is probably paying dividends. At the end of this month, there will be very few compelling reasons, or many compelling reasons, why businesses should want to be in the uptown area. So the one thing I would suggest, and then I'll have a question right after this comment, is you talked about one of the strategic goals is to add 5 new businesses. I would consider modifying that. One of the key things I think is important is not having any empty storefronts. Those are a little different. So maybe they're related, but when we have 20,000 people coming to uptown Marion, when we have people driving through they will notice the empty storefronts.
Mhm.
They won't notice 5 new businesses. That's the measure they will be looking at. So to that extent, you talked about how you're trying to attract some people in. Are you trying to also look for specific types of businesses to fill those that rounds out the uptown area? I know we've talked about some possibilities for the old library side, what kind of businesses might go in there. But is that another aspect that we're working very diligently on as well?
For sure. And I would say that that works a lot. It works beautifully if the property owner is on board. I think a good example of that is the Owen Building. Kelsey and Jamie have been working on redoing the upper story housing units. But they have had several different businesses that wanted that corner space, and it's just hasn't been the right fit.
Okay.
So I give them a lot of credit for pulling back and saying, thank you, but it's not really what we're looking for in this space, because that they're foregoing income to make sure that we get the right business in that, especially that corner space. Some of the other empty storefronts, you know, some owners are really great to work with. Some are kind of like, thank you, but no, thank you. I got it. I'll do it myself. And so, you know, we just kind of work with business or with property owners as much as they will allow us to work with them.
Yeah, I just recommend be pushy. You
Yeah.
know, Grant says you got lots of extra time on your hands. So, no, go ahead, be pushy and just say, as long as you keep in front of them, there's some time in the future, they may say, yeah, we need your help, reach out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure you're doing that, continue making those contacts.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they say, we've got it, keep stopping in there and reaching out to them, because again, if you can find somebody for them, or if you know specifically what they're looking for, sometimes that'll change. So, I mean, I understand it's not easy, but to me, the empty storefronts,
They
it's
are
a different subset
for
than
sure.
5 new businesses. So I just wanted to make sure that I think that is an important measurable if I were to look at how well we're doing in the uptown area by the end of this year.
Yep, that's great feedback. And, you know, I mean, the mayor's not here, but he has been a great leader in asking people for their best. And so, you know, we've tried to follow suit in that as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Grant again. I
Well,
think.
just a postscript, Steve, that last serious question I asked Jill, I was kind of kidding around, so don't, you know, assume they have unlimited.
All right.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Last but on our presentations, but certainly not least, we have our annual presentation from the Marion Water Board.
Good afternoon, Council. Todd Steigerwald, General Manager of the Marion Water Department. I'm pleased to have our Chairman, Terry Chu, here in the audience today, as well as Bill Kling. They are part of a 5-member team. And we also have John Bender, who serves on the team, John McIntosh, and then Amy Olson that are unable to be here today. At the bottom of the table there, when the next term ends, and William Kling, your term does end at 2026 in December. So we'll be hoping he'll renew again, or we'll be looking for another board member. Moving on, in January, we had our budget approved. Again, we're a 1-line item in the city's overall budget. This budget that was approved is higher than normal. Usually we're in the $6.5 million range because of the new elevated water tower going to be built up on Lucor Road. We increased it up to almost 9.3 million. We did have to pull 2.4 million from our cash reserves to balance our budget for the coming fiscal year. Water main projects that are coming forth. Again, the board does thank you, the water consumers here. Thank you for contributing to the first project. Project 5 was already let and out there. Boomerang has that. That is the ARPA money that you guys set aside about $600,000 for. Phase 2 has started. We partner all the time, collaborate with the engineering department, and put in new water main where the total street reconstruction projects are going. That project just started up this week for phase 2. First Avenue reconstruction will be starting up this summer. Again, we're partnering with the city on that. The water department let Grand Avenue abode construction, got that bid. We'll be awarding that here next Tuesday. That's between South 11th Street and South 5th Street. Some old water mains that continually give us some problems and leaks over there. Staff, our own internal water department staff will be relaying some poor water main areas on English Boulevard up there on 14th Street, and then also 28th Street Court actually had 2 leaks this winter on a 2-inch water main, which is old, undersized, but we'll take care of that. And then the big project, of course, is the Lucor Road Elevated Water Tower. We will be having a board meeting here next Tuesday to award that to a contractor. More to come on that. Then we'll be purchasing a new pickup truck, a skid steer, and a UTV next fiscal year. The new water tower. Let's get excited. I was gonna kind of come across and say, you know what, we're gonna table that for 5 years. It'd be April Fools, but anyway. No, we have bids turned in. We have 2 qualified contractors, one being Caldwell. They said we broke this bid up into 2 scopes, 2 different years, hearing that we had 5 bidders, which was great. They're all super busy. So we broke it into completion of 2026. Caldwell was the low. If we go with Gerard in 2027, they are even lower at 3.6. Our engineer's estimate was 5 million. Very pleased with the bids that came in. We did pause at the last board meeting to do some more further research on both contractors. Both of them are building towers out in the Des Moines area. One of our board members and staff, John McIntosh, and 2 staff members went out there last week to visit with the staff and the consultants out there to come back with a recommendation. Again, there's some money laying on the table. Can they get it done in 26? I don't know, but if we push them, maybe they can, but the liquidated damages are such that they've probably already inflated their costs there. My gut, and we'll be talking more with the board, but we'll probably go with the low at 3.6 and expect that tower done in 2027. More to come, and I do want to thank legal counsel for also putting in a little time and reviewing the contract to make sure we're staying on the up and up with the legalese. Project that has wrapped up and is completed almost is our new storage facility down at our water shop. Some quick pictures here. I know Parks took off Mike Simpridge, and Mary Weber also helped put together a landscaping plan. This is a couple pictures of the inside. The guys are already using it. It's great. There was a little oops that was found here just lately on the east side of the building. That tin is going to have to be pulled off and reinstalled. They didn't put the laps on right. So the tin takes a while to order and to get in. We may have to delay the landscaping on that side. They did most of it right, but then the 2 guys that showed up that day installed the tin wrong on that side. So you will see that being pulled off and then reskinned later. But here's the landscaping plan put together by the Parks Department. We have partnered with them on the order. Trees and bushes should be arriving April 21st, and with assistance with the Parks Department and water staff, we're going to collaborate and definitely get the north side, hopefully most of the west side. We may have to hold off on the east side until we can get that reskinned. They're going to use the J lift and tear it all up. I believe it's all blacktopped and hydroseeded already to get all greened up for this spring. But we're very proud and happy with this new addition. Annual programs coming up, April 14th, we'll start the annual fire hydrant flushing. I don't know if you're aware, but you can go online. There's a GIS active map to show what areas of town have been done. Every time they flush, they push the iPad. This is done. That populates the fire hydrant in that location. So we're thankful for partnering and the assistance of Rachel with the GIS program here. So we're getting that up and running. Other annual programs, the Consumer Confidence Report, also known as the CCR, will be going out. We're collecting all that data here. I know a few weeks ago there was a concern on what the nitrate levels were for the Marion water. Marion water, we get ours from a deep aquifer, so nitrates are not an issue. Nitrates are generally just from surface water or very shallow waters along the alluvial rivers. So we do not have a nitrate problem, and you'll see that information in the CCR report that will be coming out and published on the website. And then our backflow prevention program, I don't know if you fully grasp, I know Steve had a question on that, but there are quite a few letters that go out from the water department. It is housed in the building department for building review, but we've taken over that program, or have ever since I've been here. There's a lot of letters that go out and a lot of tracking to make sure the backflow devices across all the businesses and irrigation systems are all checked annually. And another program that's new is the lead and copper program, the lead service line replacement. Will, I think you've been involved with that. There's some new legislation that is being moved forth that when you sell your house, not only you have to make sure your septic works or your well is in good condition if you're rural, but now you have to check the box and make sure you do not have a lead service line out there. We will be, it's a kind of an ongoing program. The inventory is done. People have been notified. They will continue to be notified, and we will be working on a replacement plan for approximately, we have identified 57 lead service lines that are out there. A lot of them were removed when we redid the downtown project. We found a lot of them up there, and those are all been replaced, but we'll continue to replace those lead service lines. And we do not have a lead issue due to our mineralized water. All of our pipes are coated, but nonetheless, it's an EPA mandate so far, and we'll be following up. It's about a 10 to 13 year program to replace all of those. Luckily, we have a small number. Dubuque has thousands, other larger communities, older communities have thousands that are costing millions of dollars to replace. Last but not least, looking at another 3% minimum water rate increase. We'll be looking at doing a June 10th public hearing on that right before it goes into effect July 1st. What does that mean for a minimum bill? So if you use 400 cubic feet or less on a 2-month bill, it's 21 cents added to your bill. Very affordable, we feel. If you're an average user customer of 1,200 cubic feet, that's a 73 cents increase on a 2-month bill. Average it out over a penny a day for that increase. And why that increase? Why do we need that? Energy costs, inflation, replacing old water mains, paying down debt. We still carry a little debt from our original project in 2010, but it's at such a rate that we want to just keep that instead of going out for additional rate for the money. We are paying cash for our new elevated water tower. And a little caveat there, Glenbrook Cove, we purchase water from Cedar Rapids, and they told me that to expect a 6% rate increase out there. So their bills would be going up about $2.54 on a minimum bill. I would, with that, encourage, again, we meet once a month, second Tuesday of every month, 4 o'clock. Next Tuesday should be a good one. I think we're gonna have both water tower contractors back playing in the sand pit and telling us why they should be the preferred contractor for us. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Steve?
Todd, I've got two. What does that new water tower, when it's completed in 2 years, what is that gonna mean, or what benefit will that have for the Marion citizens?
Okay, currently, right now we're on higher pressure on the east side of town, more or less. So anything east of Highway 13, they will be served by that water tower.
Okay.
And then it'll mean higher pressure. So when you turn on the shower, you're gonna have stronger water pressure coming out, about 20 PSI stronger. We are pushing the limits on our northern expansions up there in the Hunters Ridge area, up there off of Elburnett Road and Echo Hill. We are limited on the pressure that we can serve up there just based on gravity.
Good.
And the tower height. So the new tower will serve those areas and future expansions to the north.
Yeah, Grant will appreciate that added water pressure. And then Cedar Rapids is adding 2 data centers. Is there any concern down the road or any near term, I don't know what near term would mean, 10, 20 years, on the impact of the aquifers that we pull our water from? And is that the same as Cedar Rapids? Do we use the same aquifer?
No.
Or are they different?
Cedar Rapids pulls their water from very shallow standpoint wells along the Cedar River. It's not a direct pipe pulling Cedar Rapids water out, but they have kind of a pre-treatment. They have multiple shallow wells that pull the water from the Cedar River. They've been talking with Roy Hussman. They are planning for additional capacity with their expansion of their water plant off of the new Highway 100 extension over there on the west side. In general, across the state, the Des Moines area is concerned. There are communities out there that do rely on the deeper aquifers, and that's where the data centers are wanting to pull water from. I don't think you can go 10, 20 years out. I think technology is changing as we speak. I think they are looking only at the bottom line dollars currently. It's cheaper to pull and flood their and cool everything with the aquifer, but I think technology is going to change. Processing, it won't take as much energy and heat in the future. Or if there becomes an issue, that water is going to start to cost a lot, and they will automatically find another way to cool those data centers. That is a concern amongst the water industries. This Thursday, I'll be in Ames for an AWWA summit, and that is kind of one of the topics that they're talking about. Not only is the Des Moines area, but even the city of Ames is looking at a data center. Yeah, I think that's public, to the east of town there, and they are just going to put down you have to pay X amount every month if you use it or not, just because of the infrastructure costs they are currently putting in now for something that isn't even built yet, but they said it's coming. You build it, it'll come. But I mean, it's a concern. We, the DNR watch and we monitor our aquifer levels throughout the year and turn in a yearly report to the DNR to see where we're at.
So I can answer a future trivia question.
Yep.
If there's a contest.
Yep.
About the water department. How deep is this new water tower going to be? How deep down is it going to have to drill down to get to the water?
The new water tower, there's
tower.
not going to be a well there.
The well.
This is just a tower alone. So we're just going to fill it with our existing water out there. There's not going to be a well there.
Oh, this is not a new well. It's just a water tower
Last
only.
January, February, we drilled a new well east of town. It's a Tellurian aquifer, 490 feet deep. It's just idle. We're just kind of speculating. We did do some preliminary investigations at this tower site off of Lucor Road. The two initial reports came back not so favorable to drill a well. So we are not planning on drilling a well in that location. The tower will primarily be filled by the Echo Hill plant up there by the Linmar schools up at Echo Hill Road. That will be its primary source. We do have the booster station along 29th Avenue that can also push water up and fill that tower in the future. Yeah. And the tower, I mean, we're talking 2027 is probably the completion date. But if you're asking how deep the foundations are, the bedrock is 56 feet deep up there is what the exploratory geotechnical said. So they'll probably be driving rock pillars down to that bedrock and then build the foundation up from there.
Got to be a lot of weight. All right.
Yep.
Thanks, Todd.
Yep.
Anyone else? Grant?
Todd, back to Lucor Road.
Yes.
And Steve asked a question that was related to this, but in terms of the city's growth profile, is there anything from a capacity availability standpoint or pressure availability standpoint that gives you a milestone, a future milestone of we have got to have that tower up and running? How close to that critical threshold of service need and pressure need are we starting to get to a milestone that is critical to us?
We are there. It's not critical. We're not being told by the DNR. They didn't give us a date. In fact, that we can't even get our permit back from them. It was submitted last fall and they're still sitting on it for the tower. But pressure with the new tower will serve north of County Home Road for future development out there. Capacity wise, we'll have plenty of capacity. In fact, there's some concern there's not enough consumption to turn that water over. The ideal system, you put fresh water in there daily. It gets used and consumed, you continue to pump. We hope that there's enough demand based on that tower to get that water to turn over daily. So we have fresh water pumping in there. So we'll get fresh water pumping in there. We don't run the pumps year round. We try to pump off peak hours. So in the evenings, fill it all night with the cheaper energy rates, if there is such a thing. Actually, for that tower, we're on REC, so it is cheaper versus our other electric company. But is that going to answer your
Oh,
question?
you decoded my question nicely.
There.
So the second question I have about the Lucor location is, did you have any evaluation of the pre-existing structures there, the silo, and isn't there one other building? And I guess, wasn't there some anticipation of maybe being able to incorporate those into a park?
That's where it is. Seth's still here, yes. Take it away.
Yeah, so Thursday, we will actually have a presentation for an update, and that's one of the parks that will be giving an update to council on.
Okay, thanks.
We did hire a contractor to go up and replace the windows in top of the corn crib tower up there to keep the rain and varmints from birds from coming in there. So it's already been taken care of.
That is kind of a nice looking structure.
Yeah, there's some pictures if you're really interested of the contractor he took up there. You can see for miles. It's going to be really cool.
Okay.
Sarah?
This is kind of random and it really means nothing, but I was just curious after you were talking about some of the towers pump and then some of them are just storing. So like you said the one by Echo Hill pumps the water up into it, right? Is that what you were saying?
Into the future tower?
Yeah, into the tower that's at Echo Hill. No?
So the water comes out of the ground and then it pumps it into the ground storage tank.
Okay.
And then as we need to sell water, consumers take it, or our three existing elevated towers need water. The water gets pulled from that ground storage tank. We add the chlorine and it sells it, and we fill up the elevated towers,
So here's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
And I remember when you gave me a tour of
Yep.
these different towers. Do they all, sometimes there's a hum around some of them when they were pumping. Maybe it was because when Echo Hill was coming online, you could kind of hear the noises around it. Maybe it's the motors or whatever. Is that just some of them that have the tanks, but usually next to the big ones, there's not?
Correct. The ground storage tanks have aeration units that sit on top. So when the water comes out of the ground, we drop it through these scaffoldings, aeration to it oxidizes the water to help there's a little sulfur smell in there that dissipates, and then it also helps drop out the iron particles in there. When the oxygen hits it, settles out the iron. So those are aeration, those big metal boxes on top. So when water is running, there's a motor in there cascading that water through there. And that's probably what you're hearing as far as the hum, but it should only be during the times that you are filling that ground storage tank.
Right. So do all of them do that or just the ones that have?
All the
that?
ground storage tanks have that aeration box on top.
And then the big white?
The big ones, no, there should not be any hum. No.
I was just curious. I know it's very basic, but
Okay.
I'm just kind of curious.
If anything, it might be Grant's drone flying around. I don't know.
It might be Grant's drone.
Does anyone have anything else? All right. Thanks, Todd, and
All right,
thank you
thank
to the
you.
members of the Water Board for taking the time tonight to be here. And with that, we have our upcoming agenda review. On here, it shows the presentations highlighted first. Kim?
Yes, we just wanted to point out these three presentations that will be given on Thursday. So we'll have the chair from Marion Civil Rights Commission will come and present an annual update. And then as Seth just mentioned a few minutes ago, that RDG will be here to give us an overview of our neighborhood park master plan. I know many of us are anxiously awaiting that feedback and information. And then lastly, we'll also have our discussion regarding design standard updates and use standards. So you notice that, and you have an invite to come just a little bit earlier. We had our open house this last week and had some good feedback. We'd really like to give you an opportunity to see that feedback. Again, get your feedback. And then Charlie from RDG will walk us through the design standards. And you will notice that there will be different segments. You may have already noticed that in your packet, where it'll be the design standards. We'll certainly focus on that. We'll also focus on uses. We did focus on the moratorium areas in there as well. And then you'll also see landscaping and sign updates as well. So we want you to really, be thinking about those things before Thursday. And then we will want to be gaining some more input from you, because then once we have your feedback, then Nicole, Charlie, and I will work on what that presentation, then going to planning and zoning. So we're just really working through the processes, now that the comp plan is completed and updated. Now that these are those next steps that we're working towards, so that we can ensure that we have, that we hit our July 1 date to complete all of the things that I just mentioned with the moratorium and so on. So we're following that projected timeline that we had shared with you earlier.
Yes, Ryan.
Just to add to what Kim said, specifically on point number 3 of the presentation, we are adding an extra step for the council to see the presentation on the design standards. The use standards is more tied to the moratorium stuff. So before that goes to planning and zoning, for them to roll up their sleeves and do the work that Planning and Zoning Commission does to recommend up to the council to those zoning code changes, we wanted to make sure we had that extra stop with council to get that feedback. So we can be clear to planning and zoning, this is the feedback we heard from council. So when they do their work, they've got clear direction. They will be working on a recommendation to come back to the city council. So council will see it again. But given the importance of the moratorium and all this work that's happening in parallel with the comp plan, we wanted to make sure we had that extra step in there.
Awesome. Thank you both for that info and context. Does anybody have any questions or discussion on those presentations? All right. Next item we have highlighted is A8 on the consent agenda about the public hearing for the CIP. Are there any items before that anybody wants to bring up? Going once, going twice. All right, Leanne, the floor is yours.
Thank you. There are no updates as far as the capital improvement program. We gave a very brief presentation on March 27th, just showing movement on one project from a timing delay standpoint. But we did want to call this one out just for the benefit of the public. One more chance to point out that our public hearings on both adoption of the budget and the capital improvement program will be held on April 17th.
All right, great. Does anyone have any questions or discussion on that? No? All right, thank you. Our next highlighted item is all the way on the regular agenda, C1, approving First Amendment to the memorandum of agreement for the Y. Are there any items before that folks have questions or want to bring up? No, seeing none. Seth, you're up.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight the connection from the presentation earlier, that this is the MOA for the amendment for the guest passes.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions on that? Grant?
Seth, I just, thinking about the presentation and the comments that Bob made earlier, I think the bottom line to that amendment on the guest passes is it's really capacity management is what it gets down to.
Yes.
Trying to match the capacity and utilization relative to existing facilities. So they're kind of in a pretty tough spot. They've got to do something in order that everybody is feeling satisfied with the availability of the facility and the parking. So that's kind of how I took it.
Yeah, and I'm also going to say too, I mean, this agreement, we have things tied to it, but we also work outside of this agreement and partner on many different activities and opportunities.
Anyone else? Otherwise, Seth, you have the next item too?
Yeah, so we just wanted to highlight this one for a couple things. So this is almost a year in process, and this came from the No May opportunity. And so for the this code ordinance is really allowing for people to plant native plantings in their private property. We do have great partners in the community like the Monarch Research that does have opportunities for people to have plantings. So the Native Oasis program, they'll be able to utilize those resources to be able to plant on their property. But this is really just allowing for that natural landscape. It's going to be a permit process that the Parks Department will review, but it's just allowing for that intentional plantings.
Does anyone have any questions, comments on that? Grant?
Seth, in the staff memo attached to the agenda, it said that your department will develop a list of permitted plants, including both native and non-native. Is that list developed or underway?
I'll have to talk to our Brent, but it should be developed. We are most of the plantings, we have set definitions of plantings, but we also have restrictions of what can't be, and it essentially is noxious weeds. But I can follow back up on what that list looks like.
Well, I guess I was just hoping that when this ordinance is approved, that list is developed so that if a curious resident sitting next to Mr. Jensen wants to see it, it's available. I guess that's the whole point.
Yes, it will be developed and available, so.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, thanks. The next highlighted item is E1 about zoning definitions in central corridor districts. Does anyone have anything on the other items that aren't highlighted before that? No. All right, Nicole.
Good evening, City Council. So we've got two items that we are proposing to have amended here within the zoning regulation, chapter 340. These are two items that staff kind of just discovered, just kind of doing some standard housekeeping of maintenance of our code when we kind of come across these items. So these are not items that are related to the moratorium or design standards. These are things that are just general housekeeping. The Planning and Zoning Commission did review and recommend approval 6-0 at their March meeting. So the first one is within our terms defined, so definitions, it being retail sales small. We're really just looking at getting rid of the 5,000 square feet minimum in this definition. Right now, we don't have anything that's smaller than that when it comes to allowing for or defining retail spaces. A lot of our local business zoning would accommodate for those smaller sizes, or more commonly the uptown area as well. So it's just making sure that those businesses are falling within our definitions. The other item is in our central corridor districts. If you remember, we did outdoor dining, sidewalk cafes. Not only did we look at coming up with specific use standards, there's a whole design guideline manual put together as well. Well, this kind of all happened at the same time as we were recodifying the entire city code. So once council had adopted it, it was there, but as we went through the recodification process, somehow the use table got missed in updating it in that process. So we're really just looking at adding the items back into the use table to allow the sidewalk cafes as an accessory use within the U1, the U2, and the UTC1 zoning districts. The specific use standards are in the code as they sit today, but without having the use within the table, it's a use that's basically not allowed. So we're just trying to get it back in there. It is something that was commonly assumed that it wasn't missed during that recodification process. So we're just, I said, cleaning this up because these are two items that we're just kind of doing maintenance on, two things that we thought were kind of in the code already. We are going to be asking that council waive the second and third reading on Thursday. Questions?
That was my only question. So any questions from anyone else? Comment? All right, thanks, Nicole. Does anyone else have any questions or comments about the rest of the agenda? Nothing else is highlighted. All right, before we get to the exempt session, I had heard a rumor that tonight is Chief Kitzmiller's last council meeting. So I just want to take a minute with the mayor not being here to thank you, Chief, for your years of service here for the city of Marion. I think your calming presence and sense of humor and how you approach issues has been highly appreciated and respected by, of course, staff and also council. And I also personally appreciate that you keep Seth in line, so I think that's gonna be tough to really replace. And before the meeting, Steve mentioned something about your vest or your dress, I think. I don't know, that he wanted to point out, but.
Well, it's his last meeting. I thought he'd come in his dress blues and really show off for the last meeting for us, but evidently he's half civilian already. So.
Yeah, his retirement. Really.
Well, your pants are kind of, look pretty businesslike. When you become retired, you can grub down just a little bit, Chief.
Yeah, you can get your retirement lessons from these guys after you're done, so. But thank you seriously, Chief, for everything you've done. And with that, we do have exempt session tonight. Can we get a motion on that?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, I move to adjourn to exempt session regarding collective bargaining as permitted under section 20.173 of the Code of Iowa.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn to the exempt session regarding collective bargaining. Can we get the legal statement?
Thank you, Your Honor. I've reviewed the proposed subject matter for the exempt session and find the same to be appropriate under Iowa Code, section 20.173.
Cool, and then roll call vote, please.
Mr. Jensen?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Miskman?
Yes.
Ms. Menzer?
Yes.
Mr. Brandt?
Yes.
Mr. Sternak?
Yes.
And with that, we'll enter into exempt session. This public meeting is adjourned. Thank you.